Alright guys, so today we're doing a couple of little cosmetic upgrades on the Jag, the 2000 XJR. When I bought the car, the center console wood trim and the shifter were both in less than perfect shape. The shifter had the notorious cracking that is very, very common with these cars, and the wood trim in the center console has the fading. A lot of times you'll find the veneers in this, the lacquer tends to kind of start to go cloudy or opaque. They're also known for cracking in the center console as well. But I guess in my car's case specifically, it just had really, really bad clouding, which I'll show you in a second. The rest of the trims aren't too bad. I got some cracks here and there, a little bit of cloudiness, but I can live with it. But that center console piece, I mean, it just looks like brown. It doesn't have any wood texture to it or anything like that. So that was something I wanted to fix. So I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step of replacing the wood trim around the shifter in the center console. I believe I've seen people call it the ski slope, which is an interesting name, but I guess the shape, it does make sense. And also, while I'm at it, I'm actually upgrading my shift knob from the X300 and X308 style one to the X350. It turns out that that actually fits a little more modern style and actually suits the car really nicely. So I'll show you the ones that are on the car right now, and then I'll show you the ones that I bought to replace them, and then I'll show you the step-by-steps of how to replace both of these parts. I believe it should be pretty straightforward with some basic tools, and it's a quick fix you can do to really spruce up the inside of yours. So let's get started. So here is what I'm talking about. This is the finish that I'm dealing with. As you can see, I mean, you can barely see the wood texture in there. I mean, it is just kind of like chocolate milk. You can see a little bit of it under there, and honestly the camera actually makes it look better than it is in real life. But when you compare that to what I've got going on up here, which is beautiful, and even this is one of the worst panels in the car, this is pretty bad. So I have managed to find a nice one for a good deal. Actually really nice seller on eBay, great price, etc. And I'll walk you through how I found that as well. But basically, the good thing is there are parts available, to replace this, and it's not too hard to find one that's in good shape that can really refresh the inside of your car. And then, like I said, the shifter knob, this is the one that is stock to the car. As I mentioned, mine has this cracking in the lacquer, which is common in areas where, it sits out in the sun. I think the UV does it to it. So this was a California car, so albeit it wasn't exposed to the same heat and humidity that Florida goes through, definitely a lot of sun and UV. So this was pretty badly cracked when it came to me, and I've got a nice replacement for this as well, and a little bit of an upgrade, because this is a neat looking knob, but it's a little dated style. I like it, but I think the newer one's a little more modern of a shape, and it still suits the car well. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna show you the parts that I got to replace these ones, and we will take a look at then what it takes to get them in. All right, so for the grand reveal, again, remembering this is what we had to work with, my cloudy veneer here, which is just honestly not all that pleasant to look at, and my cracked shifter knob. These are the replacements that I got, both courtesy of eBay and just a little bit of hunting around, which, as you can see, are a significant improvement. So this one is just in really good shape. You can see the wood is, the texture is nice. The lacquer is not cloudy. Genuinely, the only imperfection is a small split right here, which you can probably see. Frankly, that bothers me significantly less than this horrible finish right here. So I would say this is a huge improvement overall. And this is the X350 style shifter. So any of our X350 owners out there probably recognize this. But fun fact, it actually will fit on the shifter for an X308 as well. And I like the way the color matches. I like the way it feels. So I think that'll make for a nice upgrade. So hunting around for these, give you an idea of price point. From what I've been seeing, these have commonly been going for, 50 to 60 bucks on eBay, usually including shipping. I managed to get mine cheaper than that, but I was very, very patient. Made a couple offers on some and was willing to hold my ground on price just because, it was a budget for this car and didn't want to blow it all on that. And frankly, I'm nickel and diming in areas. This seller was extremely reasonable with his price. The quality of the part for the price was fantastic, and the guy was just all around a great guy to work with. So very much lucky on eBay. thanks if you're watching this, seriously, that was awesome. As far as the shifter knob, same deal. There's a pretty big gamut on these. These I could see going for somewhere in the realm of like, you know, 30, 40 bucks. Same deal, I paid a little less for this one just by holding out for a while. I almost splashed out. There's actually some really gorgeous, they look like, I think, handmade knobs. They have like emblems set in them with lacquer over the top. And I mean, they are just stunning pieces, but those tend to go in the realm of like $70 to $90. And I just had a little bit of trouble, you know, spending that much. Almost did. Very, very close to doing it, but in the end I was like, you know what? It's my daily driver. And frankly, when it's in park and when it's in drive, the emblem on top, you can't really see it all that well. So it'd be great for my passenger to look at. But really, unless I happen to put it in 4 here, it's not like I'm going to be looking at it all that often. So I was like, you know, let's just get a tidier piece, easy change, and it'll make a big difference on here. So like I said, if you want to see them side by side, this is going to make a big, big improvement here. Again, I think now you can really see what I'm talking about as far as the difference. I mean, you know, it's funny, when I bought the car, didn't jump out at me all that much how faded it was. And then over time, it just, you know, it registered with me. I was like, oh, this piece doesn't look all that great. And I think this is just a huge step in the right direction. So next up is the steps on how to do this. So follow along, should be easy, and we will get this knocked out and make a big difference on this car. So the first step is going to be removing the shifter knob, since we're replacing it anyway. May not be necessary if you're only replacing the veneer here. However, for me, obviously, since I'm replacing it, it'll just take something out of the way, one less thing to get in the way. So I'm going to take this one off. If you are replacing your knob on the 308 style, this little collar here actually does have 2 flat spots. So a 16 mil wrench fits on there lovely. And you can use that to hold it in place, and then basically you just use your hand and undo the knob itself. So let's see if I can hold a camera while also doing this. Ready? Oh, here we go. Holding a camera and a wrench in the same hand, but there we go. So, and once that's started, both of them just unscrew by hand. Real easy. All right, so the knob is off, and the collar comes off the same way. And there we go. So I'll show you how to put the X351 on just a little later in the video, but for now we're going to continue disassembling to get the veneer out here, and that way we can get that nice new wood trim in, and then we'll put it all back from there. So our next step is going to be removing this trim from around the shifter here, the legendary J-gate. So there's 2 pieces to this actually. You have the trim that's around the buttons here. I'm not sure if all of the X300s and 308s have the sport button or not. I know the XJR does, but either way you likely have a trim here. This is actually a separate piece from the outer piece here, and both of those are also a separate piece from this inner piece here. So don't expect this middle piece to come up, it's just the outer piece, which makes our life a lot easier. So in my case, I have actually managed to start this one. I've already kind of managed to tease this up a little bit. Usually I would suggest just putting a little piece of plastic or something down to protect here if you do need to pry, just so you're not prying directly on the piece here. And we're going to use the same concept for this. In both cases, I've actually already done it, and actually in both cases, I was able to just use my fingers and pull. Unfortunately, I discovered that actually one corner was already loose when I started to pull, and it actually had a broken tab up here. Looks like somewhere along the way this has already been worked on, and realistically, that tab was broken, and so hey, it is what it is. Frankly, it doesn't move around. I still got 3 good ones, but let me show you. So this literally just pulls right out, and as you can see here, so I have 3 of 4 tabs, and one of them is still in there under there, but it still does the job. And now this piece, very much the same deal, lifts up, and they are both just press fit actually. They just have little inserts that they press down into. I believe it's these little holes right here, and in the underside of this you can see these little legs here. And again, it looks like I'm missing another one, so hey, whatever, does the job. It's just decorative. Now if it flies off one day, I might look at replacing that, but let's hope that doesn't happen, right? So anyway, now that you've moved those out of the way, the actual mechanical bits that are holding this in are 4 bolts right here. So you got these guys, boom, boom, and boom. So I believe these should be 7 mil, which is what I've got going on here. And yep, that fits nicely, and that fits nicely there. So just gonna undo these four. Easy peasy. And legitimately, I swear I didn't go through and do these ahead of time. This is the first time I'm doing this, so if something goes bang, you're gonna learn with me. There we go. And it's always exciting doing stuff for the first time, also on camera, because I am learning about this car at the same time that you are. So let me make the mistakes for you. How about that? So that's pretty easy. We got one there. Okay. And let's see. Let's get this guy out. It's real straightforward there. Seems like they come out pretty quick, actually. Pretty aggressive thread on them. Okay. Yep, that's loose. That's nice and loose. So, and these front ones look to be a nut, if I'm correct, where the back ones are an actual screw. Yep, so we got a nut there. Oh, come on, you were loose. Here, let's do this. You don't need the whole wrench for this. Ta-da. Fun fact, when you have something mostly loose but you can't get it with your fingers, just use the socket as a screwdriver. Alright, perfect. So, theoretically, that should let us lift this trim piece up and over. Just being careful, because there is probably a plug underneath these two switches here. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I am probably going to unplug these, I would say, just to let me move it all the way out of the way. May not be necessary, but I'd like to give myself plenty of clearance. So I'm going to actually just cut the scene here, unplug those as I am working with one hand, and I'll move on to the removal of the wood in a sec. Alright, so I have these unplugged. They did drop down in here. So in my case, I have a black plug, and I have a white plug. And a fun fact as well, it looks like Jag did something kind of simple here. I love it when manufacturers think ahead. The white plug goes in the white socket, so it makes it easy to remember which way around they go. Anyway, now we are looking at removing the wood here, and if I understand correctly, I believe that this just lifts kind of up and over, but there's a chance that I'm going to have to actually move this out of the way. I'm going to guess, as you heard my car just beep at me, that I'm going to have to pull this back into the drive position so that I can actually get this up and over the shifter here. So let me dig my keys out, because I probably should have thought about that ahead of time. Bear with me here. Okay. Don't need to turn the engine on. I should just be able to put it into accessory. Turn off the stereo so I don't blast you guys with music. Okay, so I think, there we go. Should be able to put it in drive now. I do have my foot on the brake to allow me to do that. And I'm going to keep it there, as well as put the parking brake on, just in case. I don't think the car's going anywhere, but better safe than sorry. Okay, so this just lifts up, and it's remarkably easy. Now, that being said, remarkably easy with two hands, but perhaps not so with one. Okay, so you can see down here, you want it to just get up and over the front of the shifter, and then it slides right out. And there's a little tab at the top center there, so make sure that as you're removing it, you lift upward, because if you try and pull straight out, you might break this thing. You'll feel it as it comes out, but again, it just needs to be lifted up, and then it just drops right out, no problem. So, there's the old one out. Let's get ready to put that new one in. And actually, see if I can do it one-handed. What do you guys think? Alright. So, I'm going to kind of drop it roughly in place there. And then I'm going to have a moment of realization, because I am OCD, and I just saw all that junk down in there, which I am not okay with. So I'm going to clean up all this grossness that, you know, has been in there since before I owned this car. And why not, right? Once you have it apart, there's one chance to clean this stuff. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to come right back. All right, we're back. So as you see, cleaned the grossness out of here. Honestly, there's two camps when it comes to working on cars. There's the school of thought of no one's ever going to see it anyway. Why am I going to waste the time? And then there's the school of thought that is, this is my chance to clean it. I'm going to take the 5 minutes and clean it because it'll make me feel better. You know, I got my dad to thank for being the latter camp, which is just, you know what? this is your chance, get it clean. So I usually do that whenever I get into the car. I try and leave it a little nicer. Frankly, you know, you never know when someone's going to dig in there, and it just makes them feel better about the car. Future owner or something like that, it's just in better shape. So anyway, I look at it as the right thing to do, but you know, in the end, it is what it is. So we're going to get back to where we had it before. Probably should have had the key in the ignition before I turned the camera back on, but hey, what are you going to do? All right, so back on, same deal, e-brake is on. We're going to put it in drive. Okay, so we are now ready to get this guy in place. So again, gonna see what I can do with one hand here, but basically we got that top tab I told you about. I just tucked that. Let's get a better shot here. So it kind of tucks up and in, and you want to make sure it kind of seats properly, and you'll see it kind of slips around your thermostat here, and you want to make sure it kind of looks like it's getting above there. So it looks like that's happened, so we're good there. You don't want to put too much pressure because you risk breaking it. So, you know, a little bit of bowing is okay, but you don't want to significantly bend it too bad. And there we go. I just slipped it past there, and boom, dropped down on these two studs, no problem. And it seems to have seated down really nicely. So I'm just going around the edge here, making sure that it's seating in place pretty well, which it seems like it is. There we go. So it's literally put the nuts back on here, put the screws back in here, put the trimmy bits back on, and we are back in business. So let's get this thing rolling, because I am excited. As I do this in the wrong order, because hang on, I'm pretty sure this has to go on first. Yep. So hold on, please. Let me plug these back in. There we go. Check it out. This is why you have a monopod. Okay, I can even show you plugging these back in. There we go. So the clips go towards the front here. He says confidently. The clips go towards the back, which is the opposite of what I just said. Look at that. Probably shouldn't have had the car on while I was doing this. Knowing my luck, I'm gonna freak something out, but hey, we'll learn together. Cruise control and sport mode are plugged back in with it in accessory. So hey, if this all works, you guys just learned something. Okay, I know Jags can be notoriously sensitive to stuff like that, and I may have just made a grave error, or I may not. But the fact that that little button lit up makes me feel pretty good. Okay, so trim's back in. Now the nuts go on. Okay. One. And number two here. This one's a little more fiddly for some reason. Oh, it looks like, there we go. There's just like a little ridge that was getting caught on there. And I'm not going to make you watch while I struggle against that. But these drop in here, thread into their little holes. That drops on there. There we go. All right, so I'm going to get these all tightened back down, and we're going to get the trims clipped back on, and then we'll get into how to put that shifter knob on. So, see you guys in just a minute. All right, so got these tightened down. I actually ended up not even using the wrench to tighten them back up. I just went as hard as I could using the socket and my fingertips. Frankly, it's firmly in place, and I really don't want to risk breaking the plastic. I already have a small split here. Figure it's safer, and it seems, again, like it's not going to creak or rattle, so not too bad. So, trim's going on. Installation is reverse of the removal. I'm going to give this a quick wipe down because I just saw a little bit of grody-ness in there as well. Sorry guys, you get to see my OCD here. But, like I said, you do these little 2-minute cleanings, and every time you look at it, you're just going to be that little bit happier with the car, so why would you not? And again, when you have it apart, take the time. All right, that looks a little nicer. So, that drops on like that, and it just presses into place, and it's literally that easy. Perfect. Okay, and then we have our little trim that goes around the sport and cruise control buttons. There we go. Boom. That clipped on nicely. So that's in place, just how it was before. So instead of putting our old knob back on, we're going to put our new one back on. The new one is actually slightly different than this, where we needed that wrench to remove this before. I say needed, it has the little tabs for it. As you can see, the 2 flat spots on the old one there. The new collar that this one came with actually does not have that. Instead, it has these 2 fancy little dimples, which I'm sure there's some snazzy wrench that Jag uses to put this on. Fun fact, totally don't need that. You can do this entirely by hand. So, literally, thread this collar back on all the way down. Boop, boop, boo. Until it bottoms out. Obviously, don't crank it down. There you go, it just stopped. Okay. And with the knob, we're going to thread this on, and essentially this collar works like a lock nut. So the fun thing with these is there's a wood grain, and you know, yours may have some imperfections or something like that. So this is your opportunity to kind of align it to what makes you happy. So for me, on the collar, there's like a subtle faded spot, which I'd like to keep kind of forward. And then my wood grain goes like this way, but obviously every time I rotate it, that changes. And then I've got kind of like, you know, a little split somewhere in here, which I can't even really see right now. There it is right there. So I'm going to try and keep that away from me, simply because, you know what, my passengers can look in that and judge me, but, you know, I don't care. And yeah, so basically I'm going to grab this, grab that, tighten the top down, loosen the bottom up, and they'll wedge together, and that'll lock it in place. So again, let's see if I can free up both hands here, and maybe get it to where I can show you. So again, loosening the collar, which brings it up, and tightening the knob until you're happy with it. There we go. All right, and that's firmly on there. I'm grabbing that relatively firmly without, I mean, obviously not gorilla gripping it, but that'll definitely hold up to the rigors of normal driving. Again, as you can see, that's not going anywhere in either direction. So even if you're firmly grasping this for whatever reason, it's fine. So you don't need a fancy wrench to do this. And again, I actually really like the way that looks. I think, you know, it's a little bit more modern than the kind of more like, I don't know, bell shape or whatever you would call this one. I also like the darker tone. I feel like it actually matches the wood in the car a little better. So let me see if I can get you some better shots of the finished product here. We'll probably play you some snazzy music while I'm showing you this. And hopefully this has been educational for you and shows you that this is an easy way to spruce up your X300 or X308. So if you like this, please like, please subscribe. We're doing a lot more videos on these. We really appreciate any feedback, and leave a comment if this helped you. Thank you so much. Silly fun fact, but this feature really made me happy. The dome light that has this lovely little slow on, slow off feature. This is the most Jag thing ever. Who needs a harsh light that just slams on and off? No. Dome light on, dome light off. Alright guys, well thank you for watching. I think the results on that were fantastic. Again, I paid about 50 bucks for this whole thing. I think the results were well worth that. It just brings the center console really up to the spec of the rest of the car. You know, oftentimes you'll find one little thing that's letting your car down, and it is often worth just fixing that one little thing and bringing it up to the same level as the rest of the car. It'll bother you less, and frankly, I think overall it makes the car more presentable. You know, it's one less thing that you look at and go, oh, I wish that was better, you know? So this was well worth it, every penny. You know, I'm just going to enjoy it that little bit more now. But again, I hope this step-by-step was, you know, helpful to you in showing that really this is a pretty easy project. I mean, I think a lot of people think, oh man, I'm dealing with interior. It's going to be a bunch of clips and I'm going to break stuff and blah, blah, blah. Frankly, it really isn't that bad. just go slow and steady, go careful. It's really, really easy. You got this. So if you do this on yours, I'd love to see some pics, or hey, shout us out in a video, and we'd love to check it out and see if you do it on yours. We hope this helps, and we hope that shapes your Jag up just the same. So look forward to seeing you next time. Like I said, please like, please subscribe. It means the world to us, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.